for starters, God forbid there was someone out there that's not acquainted with the work of the one and only Tom Savini.
How rude.
Would you mind introducing yourself to the audience
Well,
and
yeah,
what you do?
I'm Tom Savini, makeup effects artist. I created Jason for the original Friday the 13th. You probably know me as an actor today. I was Sex Machine in From Dusk Till Dawn.
For the Friday the 13th game, you are directly involved. What is your contribution to the game?
To help create the deaths. I mean, that's what I did in the two movies that I've done, is creatively kill people, okay? Creatively kill teenagers in the woods with household implements. Okay, it's a living, but you know, somebody has to do it. You know? So, and also to come up with, I guess, a new kind of look for Jason, you know? And that's exciting because I haven't had to think about that for 35 years, you know?
You know, as I was about to say, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, the last Friday the 13th you worked on was part 4, the final chapter. I mean...
That was like, I think that was 84. I
think
really
that sounds
don't
right,
know.
yeah.
I don't have a chronological memory. In fact, I have to call Greg Nicotero. Hey, did I do that before? Texas Chainsaw before?
Because there's no
And
number on
knows,
it. It's
and
one of
he
the ones with
knows,
no
yeah.
number on it. So
I just
it gets
know I did
confusing.
it. I just don't know when I did it.
Having just watched all of the movies, I can say it was 1984.
Okay.
And I did see your name in the credits.
Yeah.
But, you know, it has been a very, very long time. I mean, is it exciting for you to get to revisit something that really helped establish your career?
Well, yeah, I know. Jason is a big deal to me. I'm his father, so to speak. I'm at least the father of his look, you know. Sean is the father of Jason, but I created his look, and they've been copying it ever since, you know. So, yeah, it's like a child grew up and became successful.
Awesome.
And Ronnie, I think one interesting thing is when this game was just summer camp.
Yeah.
You already were planning to have Tom involved. You know, it wasn't like
That's
he
correct.
just came with the Jason.
Yeah, our goal all along for Slasher Volume 1 Summer Camp, we had planned to go out and get Kane Hodder and Tom Savini and Harry Manfredini because we knew that we needed guys like him aboard. We couldn't do it by ourselves. So even though we wanted to play a Friday the 13th video game, we knew that if it was just us by ourselves, we could never pull it off.
But it was summer camp, and everybody would associate that with Friday the 13th.
That was-
It's only logical and lucky for
Yeah.
us that it became Friday the
Exactly.
13th. You know, it's
I mean-
just a natural. I mean, the people were already involved. The Friday the
we
13th
had Friday the 13th
people
without having the license.
were already
basically.
involved. Yeah. Did that help when you went to Sean to
Yes.
say you're thinking about you're doing a summer camp
Yeah.
video game, and we have Kane involved in Tom? Did it help
I think
persuade him to?
I think that's one of the reasons why he found out was because of all the connections with you and Tom and Kane. Somewhere along the way, they ran into each other and they said, hey, do you know about Slasher Volume 1 Summer Camp?
Uh-huh.
It's basically Friday the 13th. You should check it out. And then they did, and they were impressed.
Okay.
We always wanted Tom Savini. You know, you go back to all the movies. I grew up watching him, and without ever meeting him, I was just like, you don't really know who's associated with him when you're a kid. All you know is that film blew your mind, and the kills were just incredible, but you don't really know who's behind it. So as you get older and you start to study films, you're like, wow.
And you
this
read
is Tom.
Fangoria, which
Yeah,
is a very
exactly.
important thing in the 80s.
And then you figure out, I remember seeing Fangoria, and I remember seeing Tom Savini, and I was like, whoa, this is,
Did I scare you?
Oh, yes.
Okay, that's what I do.
there's no one else that we wanted. Like, people always say there's a million ways you can slice the throat, but only one right way, and that's Savini's way.
Oh, okay, cool.
So just you
I've
look back
cut
at
a
all
lot
your
of throats.
kills, they're just
Cut a
perfect,
lot
you
of
know. And
throats.
I think his previous time and his previous profession,
As a makeup guy, yeah.
Yeah, and before
Oh,
in Vietnam,
oh, Vietnam, yes.
and the way that he approaches his kills and practical effects, you know.
Well, yeah, because when I do the fake stuff, if it doesn't give me the same feeling I got when I saw the real stuff,
Yeah.
the fake stuff isn't real enough, and
Yeah.
I think that's where my reputation comes from. You
Yeah.
know, it's always anatomically correct because
Yeah.
I saw the real goods, you know, the real gore, the real, you know, and looking through the camera, what kept me sort of sane was how would I create that as a makeup effect, you know, and that kind of diffused
Yeah.
the idea that it's a human being
Yeah.
that had a grenade under his arm and it blew up. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
You also have a school that's teaching and
Yeah,
passing
yeah,
on a
yeah.
lot of your skills. But I think I adore you for is that you bow down to the altar of practical effects. And you're very much in support of that. And what's interesting is you're going to take that logic of something that, if it couldn't exist in real life, but you're not adding bells and whistles to it, and you're moving that into a digital medium, an entirely fabricated medium, but you're going to work in that to try to maintain that sense of realism and believability.
But how do we do that? I mean, how do we do that? Do you tell the game players before they even play the game that Kane Hodder was physically involved with doing these kills? you know, and if there's blood and stuff, whatever, that it was real. I mean, it was practical when we did it. You're seeing a recording of practical stuff. You're able to go and elicit practical effects, right, by playing the game because they were recorded practically. Is that what we're doing?
Yes.
Well, there you go. I think you have to tell people that,
Yeah.
or they're not going to know it. Just like in Land of the Dead, that beautiful makeup on the baseball player, they thought that was CGI because it was so damn good. That's the drawback, okay? If it's impossible, it's CGI, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We
And there-
definitely don't want the impossible in, because it doesn't fit the canon. Like, you don't see a lot of impossible kills in Friday the 13th. Now, as time went on, it got a little more silly, right?
Well,
shooting him, blowing him up with
not
mortars.
my stuff,
But it
yeah.
wasn't Tom's stuff. You look at all of Tom's stuff, and it's very much based on reality. So in our game, you're not going to see Kane throwing people 50 feet in the air, and heads won't be blown apart.
It can't be preposterous.
Yes.
Because they'll tune
You
out.
won't believe it, you know.
But your attention to detail extends just beyond like how the kill happens. That you really started to pioneer a type of blood that read better on the camera as actual blood than if you go back to say movies in the 60s. It looks kind of more like a red paint, and it doesn't read as real.
The blood in Dawn of the Dead looks like melted crayons. It's horrible. That's because we were using 3M stage blood, and something from
David
Germany.
blood.
You know,
Yeah.
it's only when we went to visit Dick Smith, the greatest makeup artist on the planet, who gave us his blood formula and every other formula. I mean, Dick Smith, you know, if you called him on the phone, what do you want? I'm busy. You ask him a question because you're scared of him. It's Dick Smith. 2.5 hours later, he's still talking to you about how to do it. Then he types it up, mimeographs it. Back then it was mimeographing, and he sends it to you. So that sharing is what I do with my school, you know, and with anybody else who asks a question, you know, through texting or at conventions, you know. You share the information. But the blood is the best blood in the world, but Dick Smith invented that. We just use it. Dick Smith invented all the techniques that we use. We simply enhance them, add to it, make it better. But he's the inventor. He's the scientist behind all the stuff that we do.
But you're also aware that it's one thing. Yes, you have to make sure that, you know, if the razor goes across the throat in a particular way, you know, the blood would come out in a certain manner. But you're just aware of all those incredibly particular elements in a scene like that to make it read as real to the viewer, and I think that's going to be essential for the video game.
Because it's a magic trick. You know, we do what magicians do. A magician will make you look here, and he's pulling flowers out of his butt here. You didn't see the flowers because he misdirected you here, okay? And he has mechanical devices you're not aware of. Well, the same thing. We have mechanical devices that make Jason's head come in half. It's not can't do it to a real person, you know. It's an animatronic Jason. Or we misdirect you all the time. In Friday the 13th, when Robin Morgan gets her throat cut, if you see the hand is in front of her, the throat is already cut. But when you do that, and there you go, and she leans back and opens. But that has to be choreographed. Robbie, don't tilt your head back until his arm moves past you, and then we can see the wound, and then we'll pump the blood. You know, Kevin Bacon, when the arrow went through his neck, happy accident. The blood tubing came off of the fire extinguisher blood pump, and my assistant blew in it, and it caused the blood to gurgle. And you know, these are happy accidents. But later on, it got to be that my contract said I get to direct the stuff that my effects are in, because there's a lot of directors that don't know how to create a magic trick. You know. The mindset is, what do I need to do to make people believe that what they're seeing is really happening? And that translates into, what do I need to show people to make them believe that what they're seeing is really happening? And that it doesn't come out of any genius. It comes simply from that mindset, you know. We were talking about Dario Argento, how he's a volcano of the mind, you know. I had to do an effect for him where Piper Laurie's head comes off, and it rolls on the floor, and as it's rolling, as her face would come up, she would say the word Nicholas. Her severed head would say the word. Well, how the fuck am I going to do that? You know, because fake heads, you look at a fake head longer than 3 seconds, it's fake. Arnold Schwarzenegger in The Mirror and Terminator, the guy in Poltergeist, it's fake, you know. Except for Kevin Yeager's heads in Sleepy Hollow, they were fabulous. You could stare at those all day. The limitation was that Piper Laurie shows up and she's claustrophobic. We can't make a head cast. We can't make a fake head of Piper Laurie. So limitations always make you more creative. So what I did was I took Piper Laurie's real head and put an appliance on her neck to make her own head look like a severed head. and painted it black from underneath it all, and she was dressed in black. I put her on a bar stool, and we would spin her. I had the mechanical guys build the floor upright on wheels. So as we wheeled the floor behind her and made her spin in the chair, but we also turned the camera upside down. So your logical observation of an upside down head that looks severed can't have a body attached to it. That's a misdirection, okay? Dario Argento walks in, what the hell are you doing? What is it? We showed him our test. Ah, bellissimo, beautiful. Because there's her head, real head, saying Nicholas. The head does not look fake because it's really her, okay? And spinning on the floor, you know, what looked like a floor going behind her. So but that mindset created that. What do I need to see to make me believe that what I'm seeing is happening?
Everything you're hearing is exactly why we wanted him on this project. This does not come from the most people.
So do you feel a sort of a sense of liberation that while you're going to be designing kills that would work in the practical world, you get to put them into a digital space where you don't have the same kind of collisions, all those things that you always have to be worried about when making a film.
You don't have to worry about losing the light at 4:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about cleaning up the blood on the floor. I don't have to be covered in blood like I am every day and try to wash it off, you know. And it seems like there's more time to, I mean, you're going to make it perfect or it's not going to go out.
Yeah.
This doesn't look right, you know. His foot should be over there, whatever, you know. I mean, it is liberating. To me, it's the creative freedom, you know, is what you're talking about. Don't forget, you're on the set, the clock is ticking, Robbie Morgan's leaning against the tree, I've got to cut her throat before the light goes down. Now there's no light going down. Do I want to just cut her throat? You know, can I disembowel her first, you know? Can he tease her with the knife? Can she scream a little bit more before I kill her? You know, I mean, yeah, there's going to be a lot of freedom like that, I would suspect, you know.
Yeah, and just to expound upon that, we're going to have various types of kills. So Jason can kill you with a weapon normally, and we're definitely going to use Tom for that. So how should the hand be severed? How should the leg be severed? How should it stick into the head? And once it sticks into the head, which way should the blood run? Okay, even though it's a video game world, we still need his expertise to talk about how it should happen. And should the blood wait a second? Should it be 5 seconds before blood comes out? You know, so if we go to
because it does not go immediately.
Exactly, and we wouldn't know that, and neither would 99% of the world. But guys like Tom, especially Tom, know that. So, and then if he grabs you and does an eye gouge, we couldn't dream of that, okay? So only he can pull that off. And like one of my favorite scenes is when Jason gets strangled in the barn. She lifts him up or puts a noose around his neck and picks him out of the barn. So if we have that kill, for example, in the game, what happens? What is the girl doing or the counselor doing? Are they kicking their feet? Are they grabbing?
Well, see,
or what are they doing? Because we don't know that.
If it was a movie, then she would be on wires and a harness, and her body would not react as if it was really happening.
So
first of all, the neck would stretch, and then it'd be a while before you actually pulled the weight of her body up, and there would be a lot of kicking and thrashing because you just don't take that.
Exactly.
You know.
So we don't have to worry about the wire, okay? We just have to worry about what would that really look like in the real world.
That's right.
And let him direct that, because we know we can technically get that in there. Okay, and we know we want it. We know we want that to be a kill that Jason can do to you in the barn. And you're sitting there strangling
it'll look different than what you see in movies. Like if he grabs somebody and lifts them up by the neck, he's got to do a prep to get that weight up.
And then take the noose around. So this is all just direction that we need him to do. So for all of our kills, whether they're a weapon kill.
This is what annoys me about what occurs in movies. When somebody is dead, they lie there and they try to look good for the camera. Their mouth is always closed, you know.
Yeah.
The mouth is slack. These muscles don't work anymore. Just like none of your muscles work when you're dead. But when the body is, you know, they want to look good for the camera.
Yeah.
See,
that's much scarier.
The jaw has to be slack if you're dead, or that actor is not portraying a dead body correctly. Peter Coyote did it perfectly. Danny Trejo plays the best dead I've ever seen.
Yeah.
You know, maybe he's had to pretend to be dead, you know, in his life for security or safety. but that annoys the hell out of me when they try to, you know, so that sort of thing. The jaw has to be slack, or I don't buy it.
Yeah.
I've seen hundreds of dead bodies. Not a one of them had their mouth closed because these muscles don't work anymore. That's something that the average person, doesn't know. There's so many things that bother me about it.
It's all those little things, though, that make that scene what it is. Yeah. It goes from just, oh, that's kind of scary, to creepy if done right. And that's what we need. You know,
To
we need
me, it's
the mouth
illogical.
open.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, it's just illogical. It's like, okay, we're sitting here in a living room and a rock with a note on it comes in. It breaks the window. What do they do in movies? They run to the rock with a note. No, you run to the window to see who the hell threw a rock in
So
your
you can
window.
get a glimpse of 'em
You
before
know,
they
this
run away.
doesn't work. Or it starts raining and they keep talking. We don't do that.
Yeah.
If it rains, we're running to get out of the water.
Yeah.
This is the mistakes they make in movies all the time.
Yeah. So yeah, we need to take his knowledge and apply that to these 20 or 30 different types of kill variations, whether they're environment driven or grapple driven or weapon driven. Like everything that he just said.
But there'll be a sense of realism about it.
Exactly.
It's the little details.
It's the small details that we
Yeah.
won't know and we would never be able to get right. So
But they get away with it in movies constantly,
Yeah.
except with me.
yeah.
It just pisses me off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just touched on something I wanted to ask you
Sure.
about. You know, a typical horror movie, especially the ones that the game is based on, the Friday the 13th movies, clock in about 90 minutes.
Yep.
This is a game that you're hoping for people to play repeatedly.
Yes.
So the variety is going to be
Has to be
much
there.
higher in the game than what you would get in a normal movie.
Yep.
Do you feel that there are opportunities out there that have yet to be explored, and how many are you looking for?
Obviously, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't possibly put everything into one 90-minute thing, you know.
Yeah.
You could do a lifetime of stuff, a lifetime of magic, a lifetime of effects in this medium, you
Yeah.
know, so.
It's replicated in the films. You see as it slowly goes on, the films are trying to one-up themselves. And you start seeing just the most ridiculous kills ever.
And you have to satisfy people who expect that, of
Expect
course.
something new.
But they're going to get so much more,
Yeah.
you know.
And then horror games, you know, there's been a lot of horror games that have all types of variety of kills. So we don't want to try to use those kills, but some are so obvious, like a throat slash, or those are things we have to put in. But the rest of the things, we have to have
Let's see,
enough
what would
variety.
they be? A throat slash, an axe in the head.
Yeah. I have my favorites about the things that I would like to see, and then we're gonna, you know, let Tom put some
So
awesome
you
stuff
get
in.
you get to let your weirdness out.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, it has to be a variety because you don't want the same kills over and over. So that's why I think this combination of weapon kills, and each Jason will have their own unique weapon that can kill in a variety of ways.
But
Plus-
you could have those, and wouldn't the fans feel, I want to kill him just the way Jason killed
Yes.
him in part 3 or
Yes.
part 8 or something,
Yep.
and it'll be thrilling to have done that,
Exactly.
especially if you're playing Jason in the game.
Yeah, and if you're
Right.
familiar with that episode, that movie, you're gonna be like, oh, that's
Right.
that kill. I love it. You know?
Like if it's okay, where's the arrows?
Yeah, yeah.
That
How
guy
are you
looks
gonna
like
stab
Kevin Bacon.
right?
Yeah, he looks like Kevin Bacon.
You see, that's a good example.
Give me the arrows.
Because this
you know.
Kevin Bacon kill example, Jason is under the bed, right? Or not Jason, his mother is
Yeah,
under the bed.
yeah.
Okay. In our game, we may not be able to fit Jason under a bed and then turn over and face up because the counselor would never go get into a bed if they know Jason's
Yeah,
coming.
but if you noticed, you don't see Jason preparing to get under the bed.
No.
You just buy the fact that not Jason, the mother.
Mother, yes.
And she would. She
Yeah.
would certainly get under the bed.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't imagine Jason doing that. You
No,
know?
exactly.
But you don't show that. You just accept the fact that she's there and did it. You know.
Yeah, so that kill's awesome, and the way that it happened was incredible on scene. And you go watch the uncut, the longer version, even better,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So we can replicate that kill, but maybe from the back. So Jason will grab them,
But you see
stick through
the-
the back of the head, as
Right.
opposed to just using the bed as a prop.
And the magic trick that's there is that the same necklace and shirt that Kevin was wearing,
Yeah.
we put on the
torso,
dummy.
so you
Same
buy it.
necklace, so there was no disconnect.
And that's where your eye was kind of going
Exactly.
rather than actually at his
Yeah, you don't
face.
stare at
When
the
the
dummy.
arrow comes, you
You focus on that as opposed to the dummy body part. And so-
right, exactly. And it was only down to here. You
Yeah.
know, yeah.
Now, Tom, obviously most people, no, all people have experienced Friday the 13th from being kind of a third person watching the events happen, you know, the counselor, Jason.
Or sometimes, I forget what movie, but the point of view is Jason.
You do have some point of view.
Yeah, yeah.
But do you think it will change to suddenly experience it from the point of view of Jason or be the point of view of the counselor, of the person who's on the receiving end
I think
of what
it would
Jason
be,
is doing to
if
them?
I'm playing, I think it would be thrilling to be a counselor and outsmart Jason.
That's
You know,
awesome because
outsmart him and because it would be thrilling to be chased by somebody, but to succeed in eluding him. You know what I mean? That could be fun.
Yep.
You know, I mean, not as much fun as if you're Jason. You know,
'cause you-
chasing the people.
the obvious
you know?
thing is that
I mean, I would want to do both. I would want to do both. Yeah.
Right. That's like the obvious thing you think is that everyone's going to want to be Jason. But on the flip side, there is a large portion of people, like you just said, that want to be the counselor and be scared and try to
Because-
get away and conquer Jason finally.
Because of what Sean said, it
Yeah.
is a roller coaster ride.
Yep.
We go to some place and pay people money to strap us into a metal thing and shoot us into the air 500 feet because of that thrill.
Yeah.
I think it's the same thrill, the same roller coaster experience of eluding, hiding from Jason. You know, it's like you're in a nightmare and you're kind of winning, perhaps.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Yep. So